Hello, room, and all my viewers on the Memorex. Or didn't think that a lot of you, for all you young folks out there,
didn't know what Memorex
first
was.
we'll shut that off. There we go. Memorex is a brand of tape that was used in recording years ago, and it was such a good brand that they had posters out that said, is it real or is it Memorex? Because you couldn't tell the difference of whether you was listening to it live or whether you was listening to it on the Memorex tape. So for anybody who doesn't know what I've been talking about on Memorex, there you go. You got a little explanation. But the posters were really cool. It would have like a guy sitting in a chair facing a speaker, and it was like blowing his hair back off the back of the chair. It was so realistic. So it was pretty cool. Is it live or is it Memorex? So there you have that little story. Things here in the hood have been pretty cool this morning. The temperature's getting up. I think it's going to give me a hot one again today. I worked out in the yard a little bit this morning and sprayed some weeds and did a little bit out there. Yesterday I was mowing the yard. I have a John Deere rider mower, and I was out mowing the yard and some fella was stalking me. He'd walk all around the house wherever I was mowing. He'd be watching me. Finally, I just stopped the mower and just stared back at him. I wondered if he wanted something or what his deal was. When I stared back at him, he decided he'd just leave. So I don't know what that was all about. I guess he thought my tractor was sexy or something. So you just never know what's going to happen. But other than that, everything's been pretty copacetic around here. The cocktail had a fit this morning. It's about the most real excitement that went on. He finally settled down. I think he's finally taking a nap now. And other than that, just been checking the news and coming up with all kinds of things to bring to you today. So I guess I'll just go ahead and jump into that. Let's see. The first thing that I had for you, this is coming up off of the OPB TV and radio news. And this is off of the Bundys in jail. Actually, I have two articles on this. This is the first one. Prosecutors, Ryan Bundy jail escape foiled during cell search. Federal prosecutors said Monday that Ryan Bundy tore his bed sheets and braided them together into 15 feet of rope in an attempt to escape Multnomah County Jail, however that's pronounced. Bundy is at the jail awaiting trial for his role in the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge occupation earlier this year. We have actual evidence that he tried to escape, Assistant U.S. Prosecutor Jeffrey Barrow told the court during a pretrial detention hearing in Portland. Barrow said jail staff found braided rope under Bundy's mattress when they searched his cell on April the 8th. Barrow also said Bundy had stored containers of extra food along with 6 pillowcases, a chair, 2 extra pairs of boxers, and more torn sheets. Barrows told Judge Robert Jones that at the time Bundy told the bailiffs that he was a rancher trying to practice braiding rope. Bundy denied that he had any plans to escape the jail and said the extra items were for comfort. It's self-serving speculation, Bundy told the court, and simply not true, Your Honor. Staff at the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office confirmed the incident Monday. Captain Steve Alexander said Bundy was administratively written up for contraband and misuse of jail property, but was not formally charged with attempted escape. So there's the first article on that, and I'll get the second one. This is all news, and it says Fed's Oregon standoff leader plotted, Fed's : Oregon standoff leader plotted jail escape trial. Portland, Oregon. A federal prosecutor says Oregon standoff figure Ryan Bundy was working on a plan to escape from the Portland jail. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeff Barrow dropped the bombshell at the hearing Monday in which Bundy and his brother Ammon sought to be released as they awaited trial on charges stemming from the January takeover of a national wildlife refuge in Oregon. and trying to show Ryan Bundy is a flight risk. Barrow said deputies searching Bundy's cell in April found torn sheets braided together in 12 to 15-foot rope, as well as extra towels, pillowcases, and food. Bundy denied he was attempting an escape, telling U.S. District Court Judge Robert Jones it is self-serving speculation and simply not true. Barrow said Bundy's excuse to jailers was that he's a rancher and he's practicing braiding. In court, Bundy told the judge he uses rope and towels for additional comfort. Court records show Bundy hasn't been charged with any crime related to the episode. The leading figures in January's takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge have been behind bars for nearly 6 months. They contend the 41-day occupation was a peaceful protest. Getting out of jail will help them prepare for their September trial on conspiracy and weapons charges. To win release, the brothers must convince Jones that they are not a danger to the community and will return to Oregon in September. Jones said he'll decide Tuesday whether to release them. The brothers also face the possibility of being sent to a Nevada jail where they are accused of taking part in a standoff with federal agents at the ranch of their father, Cliven Bundy. Judge Jones noted that Ammon Bundy seems unlikely to flee the country. The Emmett, Idaho resident has a wife, 6 children, owns a fleet maintenance business, and resides on a property that includes an orchard with 240 apple trees. But the judge worried about him returning for trial. He might want to hole up like his father did for 2 years, he said. I'm still concerned about that. Ammon Bundy took the stand late in the hearing, explaining that he and other occupiers took action to protest the imprisonment of 2 of Harney County ranchers and publicized their belief that the federal government has taken unconstitutional control of too much Western land. He said prosecutors and the media mischaracterized the occupation as a standoff when in reality they were open to communication and never specifically ordered to leave. He said at most the occupiers were trespassing and the charges that carry a combined maximum of more than 10 years in prison are wrong. We should not be tucked away in a dark cell as we try to answer these constitutional questions. Assistant U.S. Attorney Ethan Knight confirmed that the FBI never ordered the occupiers to leave, largely because they wanted a peaceful resolution. He said the Bundys clearly knew, he said the Bundy clearly knew he wasn't supposed to be on the property, and Harney County Sheriff David Ward informed him that citizens wanted him to go. They can say whatever they want, Knight said of the Bundys. The reality is they do what they want. Knight objected to the Bundys' release, arguing that no conditions could ensure they'd return to court. Considering the defiant role they took in leading the occupation and their well-established stance that the federal government has no authority over public land, reports the Oregonian newspaper. As the question of danger, Knight conceded that the prosecutors have no evidence that Ammon Bundy carried a firearm at the refuge. He said he said one of the 50 or so firearms seized at the end of the occupation was registered to Bundy and was legally obtained. Ryan Bundy read a lengthy statement in which he described himself as a peaceful man who's devoted to his wife Angela and their 8 children. He said the refuge was vacant when the group arrived January the 2nd, and that was intentional because they didn't want a confrontation. I did not use violence when the government was shooting at me during the ambush and arrest, he said, referencing the January 26th traffic stop that concluded with the fatal shooting by police of Arizona rancher Robert Lavoy Finicum. Early Monday, Jones allowed occupier Shauna Cox to serve as her attorney, and step previously taken by Ryan Bundy and another 2 defendants. He wasn't in favor of the decision. It's like a doctor trying to take out his own appendix. It's stupid, he said. The judge also warns her not to question the authority of the court or take other screwball positions. Meanwhile, U.S. District Court Judge Anna J. Brown, the primary judge overseeing the case, denied a motion seeking a change of venue. Brown agreed with defendants that media coverage has been extensive, but said it has been factual in nature and not so overwhelming that a sufficient number of potential jurors could not be impartial. Moreover, Brown said the news coverage with the greatest potential for prejudice occurred during the standoff that began January the 2nd and lasted nearly 6 weeks. With the trial scheduled to start in September, the events are not as fresh in the minds of the potential jurors. So there is that article. Holy smoke. I mean, I don't really know what to make of this because, but first off, they shouldn't be in jail. They should have been released. This is absolutely ridiculous on the part of our judicial system and our government that they're holding these guys. And on the other hand, I mean, I can see where, okay, these guys are bored out of their minds, but where does the common sense kick in on these guys? I mean, obviously, this would be a bad idea to tear up the sheets and try to make a rope when you're sitting in a jail cell. Because they are going to find whatever it is you have, and whatever it is you have, they're going to use it against you. Holy smoke. So, I mean, I feel really bad for them, and they shouldn't be in there, and I think they're getting a really bum deal. But to make matters worse while you're sitting in there isn't going to help anything. Goodness. So there's the Oregon story. Then we have this out of the Washington Post. This is the work of an extremist, Daytona chief says of the firebomb police cruiser. Daytona Beach Police Department is reviewing surveillance footage that shows a person moving around a police cruiser minutes before the car burst into flames early Sunday morning. The vehicle, which was parked outside a mosque, was severely damaged by the flames. Police Chief Mike Chitwood told the Washington Post. Chitwood said investigators at the scene found an anti-police note implicating Black Lives Matter, but they haven't concluded that the vandalism was carried out by anyone associated with the largely peaceful civil rights movement. What? I couldn't have just read that. Okay, it says they haven't concluded that the vandalism was carried out by anyone associated with the largely peaceful civil rights movement. Wow. Okay. Black Lives Matter reads a note. A Sterling P. Castile says, in reference to Alton Sterling and Philandro Castile, black men who were killed by police in Baton Rouge and Minnesota earlier this month. F the police, the note adds. A picture of the message shows that it was handwritten on notebook paper using black ink. And there's a picture of it in the article, and the URL to the article is in the description of the video. Chitwood told the Post that the incident doesn't reflect the relationship between law enforcement and local residents. This was the work of an extremist who, for whatever reason, was either motivated by an anti-police sentiment or it was someone trying to cast blame on Black Lives Matter, he said. We work really, really, really hard with our community, and I've gotten dozens of phone calls of support. I know that the overwhelming majority of our community and overwhelming majority of this country support the police officers, but there is a group of domestic terrorists who are fanatical and who are willing to give their lives to take other people out. Police responded to reports of the fire around 2:30 a.m. Sunday, according to the statement. Citing a police report, the Daytona Beach News Journal reported that a nearby resident told police he heard sounds of a car door opening before the fire began, while another person told police they heard a window shattering. By the time authorities arrived, the cruiser, which was unoccupied at the time, was fully engulfed, police say. Chitwood told the News Journal that the vehicle erupted in flames, suggesting that the fire was ignited by a Molotov cocktail. Nobody was injured in the fire, which caused more than $20,000 in damage to the vehicle. The city vehicle was placed at the location on the street as a ghost car, the statement said. Chitwood told the News Journal that the department began parking the vehicle in front of the Islamic Center after last month's mass shooting at an Orlando nightclub. The goal, he said, was to deter anyone from planning to target Muslims. The department will not replace the damaged vehicle with another cruiser in front of the mosque, Chitwood told the paper. We were in bed and I heard a boom noise. A resident who lives near the mosque told the News Journal by email. It sounded like a window being broken, and I thought it could be someone trying to break into my boyfriend's car. So I looked out the window and didn't see anyone near his car. Then I looked to the left and saw the police car was on fire. The emailer, who wished to remain anonymous, added, the police car has been parked there since the Orlando shootings. They move it every now and then, but it's always empty. My boyfriend called 911 and asked, and took so long before they got here that by the time they did, the entire car was covered in fire. It took a bit to get the fire out. Police continue to review surveillance video from the area, but noted that the state fire marshal will lead the investigation because it appears to be arson. If arrested, Chitwood told the News Journal the suspect would most probably face arson charges. Thus far, police said that they have no suspects or persons of interest in connection with the fire. Wow. Okay. I'm still kind of blown away by the largely peaceful civil rights movement, because I don't know how that can really be classed as largely peaceful when they're blocking traffic, impeding highways and bridges, don't allow emergency vehicles to get through, have babies with life-threatening problems. They're calling out for the killing of officers, and yet we had some guys in Oregon with pocket constitutions trying to explain people's rights to them, and those guys are in jail. Wow. Okay. Well, let's move to the next one. This one is out of the U.S. News, and it's called Georgia Police Come Under Fire. Atlanta. The gunman inside the gun shop near Atlanta began shooting at police officers who returned fire, responding to reports of a break-in at the business shortly before dawn Tuesday, Marietta police said. No injuries were reported, and 4 suspects have been apprehended at the Deer Creek gun shop in Marietta, just northwest of Atlanta. Marietta police officer Brittany Wallace told the Associated Press. The officers responding to a reported burglary noticed movement on top of and inside the building and soon apprehended 2 suspects, Wallace said. A 3rd suspect inside the business fired on the officers who returned fire, but no one was hit by the gunshots, she said. A 4th suspect came out of the business with his hands up. Police were using an armored police vehicle to make entry into the gun store, Wallace said, shortly before 8 a.m. on Tuesday. We don't know whether there are any other suspects inside the business, so that's why we're taking it slow, making sure everyone goes home today, Wallace said. Police were responding to a report of a burglary at the business when they came under attack. Wallace said she didn't know exactly how the report was received by police, but said there were no signs of any type of ambush or attempt to lure officers to the store. Police nationwide have been on high alert at the wake of recent killings of police officers in Dallas and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Video from television news helicopters showed the officer taking cover behind police cars outside the gun store. There are several officers, and our response to anything here lately has been that way, Wallace said. We want to make sure the business is secure, but also the surroundings are secure for our safety. Marietta is about 18 miles northwest of downtown Atlanta. So there is that one going on in Georgia. And then we'll get the next one up here. This one is off of WSLS News 10. 13 arrested after Black Lives Matter protesters shut down I-95 in Richmond, Virginia. Black Lives Matter protesters took to Interstate 95 in downtown Richmond Monday afternoon, creating major backups during rush hour. At roughly 5:45 p.m., the protesters briefly occupied all southbound travel lanes at mile marker 76.5 near the Belvedere exit, bringing traffic to a standstill. According to Virginia State Police spokesperson Steve Vick, troopers arrived on the scene and notified the protesters that being on the interstate was unlawful assembly and advised them to leave. Officials said 13 of the protesters refused to exit the interstate and were charged with being pedestrians on a highway and for impeding the flow of traffic. They were placed under arrest and transported to Richmond City Jail. The scene was cleared by 6:20 p.m. All right. Next one. Well, computer's not cooperating. There we go. This is off BizPac Review. In 18 months, 63 cops have been killed. Why isn't everyone asking the powerful question Greta just asked? And the article reads thusly. After the murder of 3 Baton Rouge police officers on Sunday, a frustrated Greta Van Susteren asked what we are doing to protect police officers. We hire police to protect us, but after all that's been happening to them, shouldn't we now be asking ourselves, what are we doing to protect innocent police? She asked. This should be a two-way street. They help us, we should be helping them. Our grief is not doing anything to protect officers, she said. What about the politicians? What are they doing? Some are going to funerals, and that's really nice, she said, but it's not stopping the murder of innocent police. The Fox News host lamented the number of police that have been killed in the last 18 months, 63, and said Americans are falling short of our duty to protect them. Police across the nation have every right to be disappointed in us, she said. So there's that article. And then we have, out of the Washington Post, the latest. 1,577 Turkish university deans told to leave. This is out of Istanbul. The latest on the attempted military coup in Turkey. It says all times local 5:20 p.m. State-run Anadolu News Agency reports that Turkey Board of Higher Education has requested the resignations of 1,577 university deans, effectively dismissing them. Tuesday's announcement comes right on the heels of an announcement by the Ministry of National Education that it has dismissed 15,200 personnel over their alleged involvement with the group the government claims is responsible for Friday's failed coup. Of the deans dismissed, 1,176 worked in public universities and 401 in private institutions. Sweeping purges in the aftermath of the thwarted coup has been the dismissal of thousands from the judiciary, police force, military, and bureaucracy. The state-run, and this came, let's see, this was just before that one at 5 p.m. The state-run Anadolu News Agency reports that Turkey's Ministry of Education has sacked 15,200 personnel for alleged involvement with the group the government claims is responsible for Friday's failed coup. And it goes on, backward in time, telling the trail of events. So if you would like to see that article, the URL's in the description of the vid. And the next one I have here is Putin puts Black Lives Matter on Russia's terror watch list after the Dallas incident. And this is a fairly short read here, but what does it mean.com reports, according to the report, Sledcom, I guess it is, SLEDCOM, derives its authority to conduct this terrorist investigation of Black Lives Matter based on its authorization under the federal law of 28.12.2010, number 403-FZ, to conduct preliminary inquiries relating to the protection of rights and freedoms of man and citizens, regardless of international borders. The initiating document, issued by Chairperson Matvicchio, I guess it is, advocating that Black Lives Matter, is its founders and its funders, be listed as terrorist organization. This report continues, relates to the racial hatred groups advocating the killing of American law enforcement officers in order to incite and inflame racial passions in the United States. and whose tactics and rhetoric, if transferred to Europe, would pose a grave threat not only to the Federation, but indeed all of the continent. So I found that interesting, that Russia's taking an interest in the Black Lives Matter thing. Then off of BizPac Review, we got Mexican migrants buy tons of empty homes in Mexico with U.S. cash only to never live in them. Mexican migrants living in the U.S. have been building homes in Mexico for years, but the likelihood of them returning to their dream houses is slim at best. The Mexican economy is heavily reliant on the remittances from migrants living in the U.S. It is reported that migrants sent $25 billion worth of remittances back home in 2015, according to Univision. The payments that were formally tracked account for 2% of Mexico's gross national product, according to the Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute. To give context to the importance of remittance, Mexican state oil company Pemex only contributed $23.4 billion to the Mexican economy. Remittances from Mexicans living in the U.S. in 2015 surpassed the GDP of Afghanistan in 2015, which stands at $19.2 billion. One of the central problems with the dependence on remittance is that the money sent home goes toward the daily financial needs of families, Univision reports. There is not a great deal of investment in the infrastructure of the rural Mexican towns that migrants hail from due to the quick personal spending by family members. The research division of global banking giant BBVA calculates that most of the U.S. ranks #1 as top remittance sending country. Mexico is the world's 4th largest recipient of remittance with 22.4% of the world's remittances coming from the U.S. Mexico is also the largest remittance recipient in Latin America and the Caribbean, accounting for 37.6% of the region's remittance money. BBVA reports that Guatemala is at a distant second place in the region at 9.4%. Mexican remittances and their importance to the country's economy is a central issue for America's 2016 presidential campaign. GOP presumptive nominee Donald Trump stated that he will get Mexico to pay for a border wall by targeting global money transfer firms such as Western Union and their services to foreigners. Trump says he will force Western Union and others to ask for legal identification of all individuals using their services and deny services to illegal aliens. The tightened regulation on money transfer institutions could have devastating impact on the Mexican market. The notion that we're going to track every Western Union bit of money that's being sent to Mexico, you know, good luck with that. President Barack Obama commented in April on Trump's plan. Mexican officials have gone to great lengths to discourage Trump from sticking to his remittance penalization plan. The Mexican Deputy Secretary of Finance, Fernando Portela, said during a discussion at the nonpartisan Wilson Center think tank in May that Mexican migrants would just find illegal ways to send the money back home. We will end up getting less information if remittance goes off the books, Portela stated. New challenges are expected by Mexico if there is a significant shift in U.S. policy towards remittance practices. BBVA's research in its 2016 Mexico Migration and Remittance Yearbook stated that the construction industry employs a plurality of working Mexican men in the U.S. at 25.7%. The leisure and hospitality industry employs 19.8% of working Mexican women in the U.S., while 93.2% of Mexican men working in the U.S. earn over $10,000, and the same is true for 82.5% of Mexican women making a living in the U.S., according to BBVA research. Sending money home to Mexico has done little to change the standard of living many people in the Mexican ghost towns. Between the Mexican government not investing much in the needs of their poorest people, along with a broken immigration system, it seems that remittance-built towns will remain empty. So there you have that story. That's one to kind of keep an eye on. given the upcoming elections. And then we have this out of BizPac Review. You won't see this at the Dems convention. People moved to tears by what happened outside GOP convention. The 2016 Republican National Convention kicks off Monday in Cleveland, and some attendees already in town made special effort to show their support for law enforcement in response to 3 officers being murdered in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Sunday's attack marks the second assassination of cops by disgruntled black men in little more than a week, with the death toll now standing at 8, when including the 5 officers killed in Dallas last week. And at a time when police truly need the public support, Republican convention goers gave a group of officers a rousing standing ovation as they passed by. CNN video producer Brennan Williams captured the inspirational moment on video, and there is a video showing this in the article if you want to look it up, with the URL down in the description of the video. With the Black Lives Matter driven war on cops now in full swing, Twitchy.com responded to Sunday's show of support by challenging Democratic delegates to respond in a similar manner at their convention in Philadelphia at the end of July. We hope they'll prove us wrong, but the smart money says don't hold your breath. The sentiment was a common viewpoint based on the reaction by social media users. And then there are some comments by some Twitter people, so if you want to read that, it's right there in the article. And let's see, we've got one more here. This is off of My Plainview. Bulldogs work with Plainview SWAT team. It's going to be fun, Plainview High School football coach Jody LaFrance said as he welcomed players to this week's session of the Bulldog Summer Strength and Conditioning Program at Greg Sherwood Memorial Stadium Thursday morning. The treat awaiting the football players, who ranged from 7th graders to high school seniors, was special workout designed by the Plainview Police Department SWAT team. We wanted to do something that was memorable, challenging, and competitive, something that is going to make them see what they have, make a little mental toughness, but have fun with it too, LaFrance said. LaFrance said members of the Plainview SWAT team work out regularly at the Bulldog Fieldhouse. Observing their strenuous fitness routine, LaFrance thought it would be a good idea to let the young players see what it's like to run in the footsteps of the special police force. The SWAT team comes up here and works out a lot, and I also go to church with Lieutenant Dion Guerrera, explained LaFrance. Every year, LaFrance says he tries to get special workout instructors to coordinate at least one routine for the program. For the past couple years, he said, he was able to get help of local United States Marines. We said we'd be glad to do it, said Guerrera. We are going to have a good time with them. It's not a punishment, just a lot of mental work. Guerrera said that the SWAT team uses the Bulldog facility frequently, and the officers were happy to lend a hand to the Bulldog program. And Coach Ryan Rhodes has been gracious enough to let us see his facility, and this kind of a payback for letting us use the weights, the bleachers, and the big tires in the back, said Guerrera. Guerrera said to come up with the special workout routine, he enlisted the assistance of fellow SWAT team member Al Longoria. This type of workout is for muscle endurance, said Longoria, who explained that the workout was designed not only to test strength, but performance for long periods of time. And when you talk about football players, they're playing for a long period of time, so they have to have that cardiovascular endurance, Longoria said. Longoria added that the workout is a regular routine for the Plainview SWAT team and is also based on primary entry test for military infantry school. On Thursday, the workout began with warm-ups followed by 100-yard bear crawls. Every 10 yards, players performed a set of either lunges, squats, push-ups, or burpees. Mirroring military runs, the players then ran multiple laps behind SWAT members, decked out in workout fatigues. LaFrance said the workouts help out tremendously as players prepare for the football season. The program pays off at the start of the season. There's a lot of great strength development during the summer, said LaFrance, who is the offensive lineman coach for the Bulldog varsity team. Also, after doing the program, when you come into 2-a-days, you're not overwhelmed because your muscles have been working all summer. You're not getting fatigued so quickly, and you're seeing some great gains. The summer strength program runs from 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday. The program runs for 2 weeks and is off for 1. Total, the program uses all 6 weeks of summer conditioning allotted by Texas UIL. Thursday was the final season of the second 2-week period. After taking next week off, the Bulldogs will begin their final 2-week session July 25th that will take them up to the first day of practice, August the 8th. So there's that article. I've got mixed feelings on that. I mean, you know, it's good for the kids to work out, and it's good for them to build their stamina. But on the other hand of it, I see that they are being developed for military. And with looming World War III, it looks to me like they're trying to start conditioning the school system to accept military training of high school students in the sports field, which will develop them for military. Just my take on it. Your opinion may vary, but there you have it. So that's all the news that I have for you today. I'll look at the chat room here. Does anybody have any questions for me on any of this, or any comments that you want to share? Or you're just going to sit out there quiet and peaceful and contemplate everything that I've laid out to you? Maybe you're meditating, which is not a bad idea. I know there's a lag, so I'm giving you all a chance to type something in there now. Anybody in the chat room want an invite? I'll bring you in here and we can talk about it. Jiminy, I hear crickets. Bless your hearts. Well, I'll tell you. I'll give you my commentary on some of this. I tend not to give a whole lot of commentary on things because I know that y'all are capable of making up your own minds, and you just want the news and you just want to know what's going on out there. And I try to bring that to you because I know the mainstream media fails miserably in telling you what's going on. And they do bring, they put their spin on it, and that's caused by the corporations that run the mainstream. But wow, you know, we've got a lot on our plate right now. We've got a lot facing us. And you just have to step back from it and just look at things with common sense. Don't buy everything you're being fed. Don't sit there and accept everything that's being laid out to you. There's always two sides to every story. And think about things with a little common sense. Relax, take a deep breath, sit and meditate and calm yourself, calm the inside of you. Don't let this consume you. It's very easy to get consumed in all the negativity. Try to do something that'll make you laugh, or you know, share some jokes with some people and get your mind off of it a little bit. I think too many of us just sit and breathe this negativity in, and don't do that to yourself. It'll make you sick. I'm a firm believer that too much negativity in your life will make you sick. Do something that'll take your mind off of it. Get out and mow the yard and see if somebody will stare at you like I went through yesterday. That was funny. I mean, he followed me all the way around the house. You know, if you just watch things that go around you, things will make you laugh. Silly things. As a matter of fact, I did a little video over on my channel this morning if you want to check that one out, of something recently that happened that was funny. And you know, bring a little joy into your life, something that something will make you smile, or smile at somebody else. Have you ever stopped and just talked to somebody and just really listened to them? When was the last time you did that? That's a good thing to do too. Just sit and talk to somebody. Just listen to what they say. When you ask them, how are you? Mean it. That you want to know how they're doing. You know, if they say, oh, fine, say, no, really, how are you? And get to know people. Spend a little time getting to know the people around you. We don't do that nearly enough. I could see some people watch the video that I put out this morning. They're making some comments in the chat room. And it was funny. She'll be wondering what she's going to get for Christmas, I'll tell you that. But, oh, you need to just stop and spend time with people. Don't be, you know, casting judgments on them unnecessarily. Everybody's got their own paths that they have to walk, and your path is going to be different from theirs because nobody walks the same path. But, you know, get to know them a little bit. Maybe you can accept the differences that y'all have between you a little bit better. I know a lot of times in my own personal life, you know, people have just, you know, cast judgment on me, just snap, boom. They don't know anything about me. They never stopped to get to know me. And, you know, it makes me wonder, how in the world can you cast a judgment on me like that when you don't know a doggone thing about me, except maybe, you know, you might know where I live, or you might know my phone number, or you might know my email address, or, you know, you might know what I look like or something, but you don't know me. So take a little bit of time and get to know people. That would be my best advice for you today. Stick your feet in the grass, kick your shoes off, just stick your feet down in the grass and take a nice deep breath of fresh air. Enjoy your surroundings. Don't walk through this life without enjoying the things around you. You know, don't get stuck in the negativity. Too much of that going on. So since that's about all I got to bring you today, I think I'll just jump out of here and let y'all have at it on this beautiful Tuesday. Hope you enjoy the weather. Get out there and have some fun today. Make somebody smile. Get yourself something good to eat, something cold to drink, and be appreciative for what you have. Many people don't have what you do. See y'all later. Bye.